ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to our Saturday and Sunday morning series on the Sri Harinam Chintamani. We have been discussing the fourth chapter of Sri Harinam Chintamani, especially with respect to Namaprad, because Namaprad is dealt by Bhaktivinoda Thakur from chapters 4 to practically chapter 12. Chapter 13 will be Seva Aparad, 4 to 11. And chapter 12, he will speak about inattentive chanting. And 13, he speaks about maintaining the conception of I and mine, aham mama. And 14, he speaks about Seva Aparad. And 15, he speaks about some confidential secrets of bhajan so that we can attain prayojan. So if you see, Harinam Chintamani devotes many chapters, practically from chapter 4 to chapter 11, each chapter is devoted to one of the Namaprads. So after discussing Namabhasya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins from chapter 4 discussing Namaprad. And in Namaprad, the first Namaprad is Sadhu Ninda. So Haridas Thakur fears committing these 10 offenses because these 10 offenses block us from getting Shuddhanam. And he lists these offenses and then he says, now I'll discuss about the first offense in detail. And then he goes on to explain the qualities of a sadhu. There's 26 qualities. There is the Swarupa Lakshan and the Tatastha Lakshan. So the Swarup Lakshan is Krishneka Sharanam. Even if the other qualities, other 25 qualities are not present, we have to see the Swarup Lakshan. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes on to explain that the external chinna, external outlook of somebody who is belonging to particular varna, ashrama, all these are not the actual qualities of a Vaishnava. It is only Krishneka Sharanam. And then he comes to the Gaudiya understanding, where there are two ashrams during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, the Grahastha and the Grahatyagi. And then he gives the explanation of Raghunath Das Goswami, what he is told by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a Grahastha, how to practice Krishna consciousness. And that same Raghunath Das Goswami, when he takes to the renounced order of life, that is, he becomes a Grahatyagi, then what are the instructions Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given him? And whether one is a Grahastha or a Grahatyagi, even this discrimination should not be there in Vaishnavas. Only again we have to see Krishneka Sharanam. So that's how Bhaktivinoda Thakur has been discussing. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, if there is, because of slight traces of sin, Purva Papera Gandh Avashesh, or Purva Papa Laksh, if there is a devotee's previous sin or a fragrance of the sin, and if you criticize, then you are a aparadi. So this is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur begins his discussion, and we had an elaborate discussion about this in our previous class. And again, from this perspective also, even if there is some sin because of his previous life, or while practicing his Krishna consciousness, he commits some abominable act, or because of daiva, by providence, he commits some accidental sin. If you criticize, then you commit Vaishnava aparad, ninda. And again, he comes to the point, Krishneka Sharan. That is the sadhu lakshan. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted this confidential teaching of Lord Krishna, Apichet Suduracharo. So text 44 is the last, sorry, I have to share the screen. Text 44 is the last point we had discussed. That even if there is trace of sin or a sinful activity, or the gandh also is there, and I was explaining how in Ajamil's life, although he was taking the name of his son Narayan, he was purified fully. But the potency of the holy name did not manifest. Krishna sometimes decided to not manifest his glories. Only in the last moment, when he was at the time of death and the Yamdutas came, that time he called out. So because he was free from all sins, the Vishnudutas came and saved him. So sometimes the trace of sin which is there in a very subtle form, that will not affect his pure devotion. And Krishna might not, completely manifest his glory and his mercy up till a particular point, wherever Krishna decides. That is his free will. So that is why Krishneka Sharanam Matra, Krishna Nama Gaya, Sadhu Nama Parichita, Krishnara Kripaya. So he is actually a saintly person. And then who himself calls as a saintly person, proclaims he is actually a Damba avatar. Here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very, very heavy. He is a vain hypocrite. He is the incarnation of arrogance personified. So every quality, demonic quality also, there is a personification you can do. And there is in the Mahabharata, Krodh Pisachi. How many of you have heard the Krodh Pisachi story? Can you raise your hands? How many of you have heard the story of the Krodh Pisachi? You can raise your hands. Anyone has heard the story of Krodh Pisachi? No one? Okay. So in the Mahabharata, there is the story of the Krodh Pisachi. Once Krishna, uh, Arjuna, and Satiki had gone into the forest just for trekking. And at night, they decided to take a rest. And it was decided that 2 hours each one will be guarding. So first, Satiki said, I will guard the first 2 hours. And once Satiki was guarding, Krishna and Arjuna were taking rest, a huge demon came and it started laughing. And it said, now I'm going to kill Krishna and Arjuna. So Satiki got very angry and he took his bow and arrow. He was about to shoot, but this demon started laughing at Satiki. So the more this demon laughed at Satiki, the more angry Satiki became, and just by that he was killed. Satiki lay unconscious. And then when it was Arjuna's turn, when he got up, he saw that Satiki was dead. He became angry. Who has killed Satiki? He took his bow and arrow, and the same demon came, Krodh Pisachi. And he said, I have killed him. Now I'm going to kill your friend Krishna. So Arjuna became more angry. And with his bow and arrow, he was about to shoot this demon, but this demon started laughing. So the more this demon laughed, the more angry Arjuna became. And then suddenly Arjuna was also killed and he lay unconscious there. Then after certain few hours, Krishna got up and Krishna saw both Arjuna and Satiki, his very close intimate friends, lying down as though dead. And Krishna said, who has done this? And then this Pisachi came and he started laughing. Now this time Krishna did a trick. He also started laughing. The Pisachi also started laughing and Krishna started laughing more. So by that, what happened is, although the Pisachi was showing his anger and he was laughing at Krishna, Krishna did not show his anger and he just laughed. And by that, the demon's strength reduced and he died. And then Krishna revived Arjuna and Sataki. So this pastime is there in the Mahabharata, where it is mentioned that somebody, when somebody becomes angry at you, you also become angry. And in fact, you feel that I've got more strength now, but your strength actually comes down. So when you become angry, your energy is drained. In fact, it is said that if one jogs for 6 kilometers, that amount of energy, when you become a little angry, that is the kind of energy which is vented out. So this pastime is there in the Mahabharata about the Krodh Pisachi. Sometimes these anarthas are personified and they were given explanations in the form of pastimes, so that when you personify them, then you can deal with them easily. Otherwise, they are very subtle within the heart. So similarly, here Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, he is arrogance personified. Damba avatar. He is arrogance personified. So this is the last discussion. Now let us go to text 45 onwards. Now text 46 and 45 to 47, here Salpakshare Sadhu Nirnay. So many times Bhaktivinoda Thakur has used the word sadhu. Krishneka Sharanam, he's a sadhu, he's a sadhu. From Varnashram perspective, you should not see he's a, only Krishneka Sharan, he's a sadhu. And Krishna has also used sadhu eva samantavya. So now Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives the explanation of, in few words, in brief few words, the nature of a true saintly person, symptoms of a sadhu in a few words. So that is from 45 to 47. Se bolibe amidina Krishna ka sharana Krishna nama yaramuka sadhu se jana. One who humbly says that he is a poor surrendered soul to Lord Krishna. Ami deen Krishna ka sharana. Say bolibe, I am very fallen. I am very poor. I am just a surrendered soul to Krishna. Krishna Amyara Mukhe, and who chants Krishna's name is a true saintly person. Sadhu say Jana. Jana means you have to know. So this is actually the highest lakshana or the symptom of a sadhu, that he's trunadapi sunichena tarorapi sashrinam amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That's why he's able to always chant Krishna's name. And only one who has developed this genuine humility of the soul, the pure humility of the soul, he always thinks he is humble, he is very fallen, he is just a surrendered soul to Krishna, and he is actually a true saintly person. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, based on the third verse of Shikshashtaka, he gives the explanation of the Shikshashtaka verse in two verses, 46 and 47. Let us take. त्रिन होते ही न बोली अपना के जाने सहिष्णु सहिष्णु तरूर न्याय अपना के माने निजत अमानी आर सकले मानदा तारामुके कृष्णाम कृष्ण रति प्रद. A person who thinks himself lower than a blade of grass. Trina hoite hi na boli. Who is tolerant as a tree. Sahishnu taru ra nyay. Who offers all respect to others without expecting any for himself. Apana ke mana nijata amani ara sakala manada. So this is Trinadapi Sunichena verse translation only in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's word. Amanina manadena. This is a very, very important principle, and we can just check in our heart. No, we might say Hare Krishna to devotees, and suppose by chance they don't respond as Hare Krishna. How do we feel? We sometimes feel hurt. One very senior devotee was giving a lecture, and after the lecture, one devotee asked a question. Prabhuji, once I said Hare Krishna to a devotee, and he did not say Hare Krishna back to me. So I'm very disturbed. But see the principle of Trinadapi. Amanina manadena. That we should give respect to others and never expect respect for ourselves. Without expecting for himself. The holy name of Krishna on his tongue grants such a person spontaneous attraction for Lord Krishna. So this is Tara Mukhe Krishnam Krishna Rati Prada. He develops attraction for Krishna. He has the power to make others fall in love with Krishna. So this personality is a very exalted personality because by his devotional qualities, he is able to attract others by his preaching. This is a Madhyamadhikari level, and especially somebody who is after Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. So all these levels, at Nishta, one is very steady in his chanting, one has attraction for chanting, one has taste for chanting. With Nishta, Ruchi also comes. Somebody who is a Mahabhagavat also can come to the Madhyama platform and preach. So definitely it is those stages which is spoken. So he is a sadhu. So the sadhu lakshana are given from 45 to 47. Now from text 48 to 53, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions a person devoted to the holy name is a saintly Vaishnava. Lord Krishna's power rests in his body. So how he is able to preach, how he is able to give the holy name to others, because Lord Krishna's power is there in his body. So that he is going to explain. This is very interesting part, and let us hear what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to say about it. Hena sadhu muke abe shune ek naam Vaishnava bolia tara karibe pranam. Any person from whose mouth I once hear the holy name, I call such a person a Vaishnava. I offer my respectful obeisances to him. Hena sadhu muke yabe sune ek naam. So once if anyone chants the name of Krishna, he is a Vaishnava. This is the standard principle which we have been seeing in our discussion with even Vaishnav Ninda in the Updesha Amrit Krishniti Yasya Giritam Manasadri Eta. Although he might have not taken up to devotional practice, he's not following the 4 regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds, that is the standard what is there in ISKCON. But if he's taking once the name of Krishna, he is a Vaishnava. And this is also the principle established by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his teaching to Satyaraja. Janra Muke Ek Krishnam say Vaishnava Boli. So that's what is there even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is a Vaishnava and one should respect, honor him in his mind. Vaishnava se Jagat Guru, Jagatera Bandhu, Vaishnava Sakala Jiva, Sada Kripa Sindhu. A true Vaishnava is a spiritual master of the entire world. He is the friend of the entire world. Jagatara Bandhu. A true Vaishnava is always an ocean of mercy. Kripa Sindhu for every spirit soul. Vaishnava Sakala Jeev. So this is now referring to especially a Mahabhagavat. Because a Mahabhagavat only can make disciples all over the world, as per Nectar of Instruction, first verse. Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jivva Vegam, Udarapusta Vegam, Etan Veganyo Vishe Dhira, Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sashishat. And he's the friend of all living entities, just like Krishna is also the Suridam Sarvabhutanam. So the same qualities are there in the Vaishnava. And he has Jivadaya. So that's why he shows compassion to all living beings. So this is definitely a quality of a Mahabhagavat. Hena Vaishnav Ninda Ei Janakare Narake Padibe Se Janma Janmantare. Anyone who criticizes such a Vaishnava falls into hell. There he stays birth after birth. So whether it is criticizing a Mahabhagavat or a Vaishnava who just takes once the name of Krishna, or what to speak, criticizing even any materialist, that is also not good for devotees. To criticize whether devotees or non-devotees is not a quality of a Vaishnava. So especially anyone who criticizes such a Vaishnava, he commits a Vaishnava aparadh. If he criticizes non-devotees, then he gets afflicted by pap. Bhakti labhi bare aur nahi ke upay, bhakti labhe sarva jiva Vaishnava kripa. So why a Vaishnava is so dear to Krishna, and if you criticize him, this is the effect. Every spirit soul can attain devotional service by a Vaishnava's mercy. Bhakti labha bare aur nahi ke upay. Only by the Vaishnava's mercy we can attain devotion. There is no other way to attain devotional service. Nahi ke upay, bhakti labha sarva jeev Vaishnava kripa. By Vaishnava's mercy we attain devotion. So many devotees in the village, they are not so advanced like Mahabhagavats, but they are very simple. They just do some chanting and they just go out and preach, and they're able to make others also devotees. I know of a Vaishnava devotee here who is a simple person, and he is preaching to the children, and all the children are chanting Hare Krishna. Almost he has got 100, 200 children. And not only that, just by his humility, just by his devotion, just by his, attraction to sadhus and to the practicing Krishna consciousness, even he is able to influence very high personalities who are there in the outside world, like, high IAS officers, IPS officers. And he's a very simple devotee. Nobody will say that he's a Mahabhagavat. So even a Vaishnava who is practicing Vaishnava Dharma, practicing Krishna consciousness, by his mercy also others can become devotees. So that is why a Vaishnava is very, very rare in this universe, because only by his mercy others can become Vaishnavas, others can take up to devotional service. So that is the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. Vaishnava dehate thake Shri Krishna Shakati se deha sparsha anya hoy Krishna bhakti. Lord Krishna's potency rests in the body of such a Vaishnava. Vaishnava dehate thake Shri Krishna Shakti. Simply by the touch of his body, others may attain devotional service. Seha deha sparsha anya hoy Krishna bhakti. Now, here is a footnote, which is a very, very important footnote, which we will see. Now, the footnote is here. Lord Krishna's Ladini, pleasure potency, and Samvit, knowledge potency, combine to become the Bhakti Shakti, potency of devotional service. The perfect devotee. Now, here the footnote is very clear. So this is referring to not sadhakas, but this is referring to siddhas, those who are having at least bhava and prema bhakti. So the perfect devotee, siddha bhakta, gives to an aspiring devotee, sadhaka bhakta, the potency of devotional service, bhakti shakti, with the help of which the aspiring devotee gradually makes gradual advancement in devotional service. By performing the spiritual activities of devotional service, the aspirant eventually becomes a perfect devotee, siddha. When the aspirant is free from aversion to devotional service and is completely inclined to engage in devotional service, then a merciful, perfect devotee takes his own spirit of devotion and gives it to the aspiring devotee. This is a great secret. So what exactly this verse is speaking about a Mahabhagavat. In his heart, there is Bhakti Shakti. So now here in the slide, I have pointed out this. So we know this three potencies of the Lord, the Sandhini potency, the Samvit potency, and the Ladini potency. Now, we come in touch with the Samvit potency of the Lord first, the knowledge potency. Knowledge by which we understand about ourselves. You are not the body, you are the spirit soul. This is a ABCD knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and the topmost knowledge also. So we hear the Bhagavad Gita, we come in touch with the Samvit potency, and we understand that we are eternal spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna. The Sandhini potency has to do with the eternal existence, the spiritual world existence, the existence of the Satchidanand feature of the Lord, the spiritual existence, and the existence of the Jiva, eternal existence. That is the Sandhini potency. So we understand that theoretically, and slowly by this knowledge, what happens? Slowly we take up to devotional service. And the more we understand devotional knowledge and practice devotion, slowly the Samvit potency goes on increasing. And then at the stage where we are transcending, which is a transition between asakti and bhava, what happens is the Ladini potency enters the heart from the spiritual world. So from the spiritual world, the Ladini Shakti enters the heart and he attains bhava bhakti. So bhava bhakti, that is why it cannot be attained by practice of sadhana. Bhava bhakti is bestowed directly by Lord Krishna. It descends from the spiritual world and enters into the heart of that pure devotee, whose heart is almost purified, 99% you can say. There are only some slight traces of aparadh which might remain, and that will also go in Prema Bhakti. He realizes his eternal existence. At Bhava Bhakti, one's Swarupa is realized, that he is a spirit soul, and his rasa with Krishna, in which rasa he is related to Krishna, whether it is Sakya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, or Madhuri Ras, that also gets revealed. His Swarupa gets revealed. In the stages of Raganuga Bhakti, when he's practicing after Vaidhi Bhakti, which begins from the stage of Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, he has his mood. He knows his mood, whom he would like to aspire, and he follows those Ragatmika Bhaktas. That is the Brajvasis. Either he'll follow Sri Dama, Sudhama, or Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj, or the Gopis of Vrindavan. So that is Raga Nuga Bhakti. But at the stage of Bhava, his Swarupa is revealed, who he is in the spiritual world. And his rasa in Krishna, he starts relishing rasa with Krishna. So the Samvit potency and the Lagini potency combine together and form what is called as the Bhakti Shakti. Now this Bhakti Shakti is there in his heart. And with this Bhakti Shakti, what happens? He is able to inspire faith in others and preach and bring others into devotion. So this is what is Bhakti Shakti. And we can see this pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. After, especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had this Rai Ramanand Samvad, his Radha Bhav actually fully manifested. And that is why it is only to Rai Ramanand Rai, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed his Radha Krishna's form. And then when South India, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling, just by his glance on the people, he was directly impregnating in their heart his Bhakti Shakti. They were directly attaining Prema. They were not going through the stages of Sadhu Sangha, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anarth Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava Prem, directly Krishna Prem. So he was infusing the Bhakti Shakti in their heart, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the personified form of Ladhani Shakti. So we can imagine, and those devotees were attaining direct Prema, and others who would see them, they would also attain Prema and go back to Godhead. So this was the pastime happening in Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially in the South India Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tour. So the pure devotees who are Mahabhagavats, that is the stages of Bhava and Prema, they have this Bhakti Shakti. So this is the point which is being made by Bhaktivinoda Thakur here, what is being explained. Vaishnava Dehita Thake Shri Krishnera Shakti. Se Deha Sparsha Anya Hoy Krishna Bhakti. So his body is surcharged with spiritual current. And just coming in touch with him, just sitting near him also, you can feel the spiritual vibrations. So we all know the bombing of, and in the Second World War, Americans bombed Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And this is a material atom bomb, and the effect was for many years. For many years, the effects of that atomic bomb was their explosion, or the Bhopal gas tragedy. And for many years, people still were afflicted by diseases, especially of the lungs, because of the gas tragedy. Now we can imagine if material things like an atom bomb or a gas leakage can have this kind of an effect on people. It's a negative effect what is happening. What is the effect of the Bhakti Shakti, which is a spiritual potency of the Lord? What is the effect? We cannot fathom. That is why coming in touch with pure sadhus, even spending a moment, can give us perfection. Sadhu Sangha, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Srila Prabhupada was preaching, had just started his preaching in America, 1966, in the Fifth Avenue, New York. And Prabhupada was very practical. He said, if at all I have to leave my body, make my samadhi here. Prabhupada had said that time, make my samadhi here. And 5 kilometers radius, the effect will be felt. Prabhupada said that. So this is the potency of even the samadhi of the pure devotees, that the spiritual vibrations effect will be felt for kilometers together. So this is because of the Krishna Shakti. And that is the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. The next verse. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has about this? Maya Narasimha Prabhu has always very interesting questions. Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhuji, you mentioned that once one gets acquainted with the Samvit potency, by the strength of the Samvit potency and by practice of sadhana bhakti, one will be awarded Ladini potency.
Yes.
And you refer it as Bhava stage.
Yes.
Then what about the experiences of joy a sadhaka feels while during practicing sadhana bhakti also? Is it not Ladini Shakti, Prabhu?
Okay, I got a question. In the sadhana bhakti stage, there are two characteristics of pure devotion which manifest. One is Kleshagni, second is Shubhada. So Kleshagni means destruction of the prarabdha and aprarabdha. The devotee also goes through distress. We all know that. So that is part of Kleshagni. Shubhada means auspiciousness, happiness in Krishna consciousness. So he also experiences happiness in Krishna consciousness in the form of, wonderful festivals, chanting Krishna's names. We don't experience, Ananda Ambudhi Vardhanam. Every name we are taking and we are feeling as though we are drowning in the ocean of ecstasy. In the sadhaka stage or in sadhana bhakti, it's not possible. Rarely during festivals or once we take a Shuddhanam, that time we can experience that. But definitely we are experiencing Shubhada. And Shubhada is, many types of Shubhada there, which Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu discusses. I think 3 types are there. So like that, we are experiencing happiness in Krishna consciousness. That happiness is spiritual happiness, definitely. And also we are experiencing distress. And that distress is also part of the purification. But only in the stage of Bhava Bhakti, when all the anarthas are destroyed and the Ladini Shakti enters, then we are relishing spiritual rasa. The soul's spiritual constitution is revealed, Swarupa is revealed, and the soul is relishing rasa with the supreme soul. But right now, till our gross and subtle bodies are there, sometimes we might be relishing mundane rasa or subtle mental rasa. But still we are not fully relishing spiritual rasa. We might relish a little bit during festivals, during big kathas organized, where we relish those kathas, and so many other occasions within the practice of bhakti. But at the stage of bhava, there is no relishment of mundane rasa, material rasa, nor mental rasa. There is only spiritual rasa. And this rasa is unfathomable for us. So that is the stage where the Ladini Shakti fully enters. So the Ladini Shakti's glimpse we might get in our practice of sadhana bhakti. But the Ladini Shakti, when it actually enters and our Swarup is revealed, that is when the Bhakti Shakti is transmitted. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that a Vaishnava is a Chintamani. Chintamani is like a stone. Harinam Chintamani we are reading. So just what is that stone called? Chintamani only it's called, I think. If you touch some other object, it will immediately transform into gold. So similarly, such a Mahabhagavat, just by his touch also you can become a devotee. That is the potency of a Mahabhagavat. I hope it is clear.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you. So we get only glimpses.
Yes. Swapnil had a question. Yes, Swapnil Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhu, my question is Ladini Shakti is the base for Samvit potency?
Ladini Shakti is the base for Samvit potency. Ladini Shakti is the base for Samvit. Okay, I got a question. So basically, for the Ladini Shakti to enter, the Samvit potency, what ground has to be ready? That is what the question is, as I understand. Yes, one sense, definitely. Definitely, it is the Samvit potency. That's how Chaitanya Charitamrita explains that there are these three potencies, Sandit, Sandini, Samvit, and Ladini. And the Samvit potency is what we come in touch with. And as the Samvit potency goes on increasing higher and higher, the Lad, and this is there in the Vishnu Puran verse also. I don't have the quote right now and I don't remember the verse. As the Samvit potency increases, slowly what happens? The Lad means happiness. Happiness in Krishna consciousness also slowly increases. And you see in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter is transcendental knowledge, Divya Gyan. So, nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is no knowledge which is as pure as this transcendental knowledge, pavitram. And one rejoices within himself. So as this transcendental Samvit potency goes on increasing, we also experience happiness in the Krishna conscious knowledge, the bhakti, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. We get taste in bhakti literatures. We understand the bhakti literatures and we relish the bhakti literatures. And then when this Samvit potency increases to a very high degree, at that time, the full manifestation of the Ladini Shakti actually enters in the heart. While the Samvit potency is slowly increasing, we experience some happiness in reading Shastra. That is Ladini Shakti, but it is just a glimpse. But the real Ladini Shakti, the full-fledged potency of the Lord, enters from the spiritual world and enters into that heart of the sadhaka, whose heart is completely purified. And just to give a graphic example of it is when Krishna appeared in this world, he first entered the heart of Vasudeva. From Vasudev's heart, by Vasudeva's glance, he was impregnated in the heart of Devaki. And actually, directly from there, he came out in his Chaturbhuja Narayan form. In fact, he was not in the womb in one sense, it is mentioned. So, when the heart becomes pure completely, Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabditam. This is what Lord Shiva tells to Parvati in the 4th canto. And when the Vishuddha Sattva, when that heart becomes completely pure at the stage of Bhava, there, Krishna enters into the heart. So that is his Ladini Shakti, which is entering. And definitely the Samvit potency acts like as a platform for that. It is clear, Prabhuji, for you?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Any other questions anyone has about this discussion, what we had? Okay. So now the last verse of this about, the sadhu, how Lord Krishna's power rests in the body of a pure devotee. This is last verse. Vaishnavara Dharamrit Ara Padajal, Vaishnavara Padaraja Tini Mahabal. So he's quoting Bhakta Padaduli, Bhakta Padajal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh, 18 Mahabal from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Three things are very powerful: the food remnants, which are touched by the Vaishnava's lips, the water that has washed his feet, and the dust that has touched his feet. So we now can understand the potency of a Vaishnava, spiritual potency, just like we can understand today the material potency of this COVID virus. Somebody is carrying this virus and he touched some object, steel object, and you go and touch it, you get the virus. So powerful is this virus. So similarly, we can understand what is the power of a pure devotee. And especially this refers to again a Mahabhagavat. Definitely it refers to a Mahabhagavat. And the Mahabhagavats, for them, there is no distinction. They can, in fact, even from a Chandal accept some Madhukari, and because they see it as completely spiritual, they will not get any, effect of it. So it is definitely referring to a Mahabhagavat here. So here I have summarized everything in the chart about this theme 48 to 53, what he has discussed. Devotees are the cause of faith and bhakti. That is why we should not offend them. Lord Krishna's potency rests in the body of a Vaishnava, and we explained the Bhakti Shakti. And receiving his food, water, and food dust influences a person to take up to chanting. And we see this in the life of Narad Muni. Narad Muni just took the Uchishta of the Bhakti Vedantas, and immediately all his sin was eradicated. And, he got taste for hearing the Katha which the Bhakti Vedantas were reciting. And then very quickly he attained perfection. So this is what is being discussed in these verses. Now, this theme is very, very important now for us to understand. The next theme is Vaishnava Shakti Sanchar. 54 to 57, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions how a Vaishnava imbues his potency in others. Vaishnava nikate yadi boshi kotashan deya hoite hoy Krishna Sakti Nisharana. If for a few moments one stays near a Vaishnava, Vaishnava nikate yadi boshe katashan, one will come in contact with Lord Krishna's potency coming from that Vaishnava's body. So directly you come in touch with the potency of Krishna, which is residing in that Vaishnava's body. And we can all have the understanding of a current. If you go and touch a current, immediately you get a shock. So similarly, Vaishnavas, in their heart, the spiritual current is flowing. And you come and touch, immediately you can feel the effect. His potency, you can feel it. Sei Shakti Shadavan Hridaya Pashiya Bhaktara Udaya Kare Deha Kampaya. When it enters a faithful person's heart. Now here, although Vaishnava spiritual potency is there in the heart, and it is, spreading, his aura is spreading in and around, at least till 5 meters radius, the effect is there, it seems. So what happens? A faithful Shraddhavan, one who is a faithful person, or one who has attained a lot of Agyat Sukriti, has some kind of Shraddha, that energy makes his body tremble in ecstasy. So many of initial Prabhupada disciples confess that when they just had darshan of Prabhupada, they immediately would kind of ecstasy they should experience in their heart, which was a kind of bliss that they had never experienced anything in this world. Many of Prabhupada's disciples confess about it. In fact, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is to just come out of Mayapur temple, that road was called as Bhakti Siddhanta Road. Now also it is, that is the name given to that road. So when it's to just come to the main road, many children is to be playing in and around. And suddenly, just by seeing Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they used to give their childish play and immediately become calm and still. Completely gambhir. just seeing Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, such a great personality he was. So they can experience the spiritual potency. So this is the power of a pure devotee. And those who are Shraddhavan, they can experience some spiritual happiness. It makes devotional service arise in their hearts. So the bhakti which is there in their heart, bhaktya sanjayate bhakti. Bhakti is completely, supremely independent. So the bhakti is already residing in their heart, and immediately that bhakti manifests. Just like the spiritual master or one who's carrying this bhakti shakti is like the wood with fire. And there are many woods, some are wet woods. Even if it comes in contact, that wet wood might not catch fire. But some are like dry woods who have some agyat sukriti. And just this wood which is carrying fire comes in touch with that dry wood little bit, that wood will catch fire immediately. So similarly, the bhakti in the Shraddhavan immediately awakens. What then happens further? Ye basila Vaishnavara nikata Shraddhaya tahara hridaya bhakti hobaya uday. Devotional service arises in the heart of the person. Tahara hridaya bhakti hobaya uday. One who faithfully stays near a Vaishnava. Ye basila Vaishnavara nikata Shraddhaya. Just with faith, he just sits in front of a devotee, of our Mahabhagavat, especially for a Mahabhagavat. I had asked one businessman, he's a very simple businessman from a Marwadi background. He has a furniture shop, and one of the devotee is his friend. So he wanted to offer a cupboard to the sannyasi. So he called his friend, please come and see the sannyasi's room so that you can have the cupboard. So this friend came and entered the room of the sannyasi, and he saw the measurements for the cupboard. And some of the sannyasi came in, and the devotee introduced that this is my friend, he is running a business. And he just offered pranams because sadhu means they offer pranam. And this sannyasi just touched him and pat him. And that's it. And I asked him personally, how did he came into devotional life? I said, this sannyasi just touched me. By that, I was really inspired. I felt something which was out of this world. And from then on, he's been chanting Hare Krishna. He's, practicing spiritual life. So this is the potency of a Mahabhagavat. Pratame ashibe taramuke krishnanam namera prabhava pave sarva gunagram. From the moment a person chants Lord Krishna's name, pratame ashibe taramuke krishnam. So we can see what is the quality of a Mahabhagavat. He has this bhakti shakti, by which spiritual potency he can make others take the name of Krishna. He is a Mahabhagavat. That is also the definition of Chaitanya Charitamrita by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they take the name of Krishna. Just by coming in touch with them, they attain the Sukriti and they take the name of Krishna. And by the power of that holy name, slowly starts attaining the good qualities. So this is the potency of a Mahabhagavat. Just by coming in touch, coming near him, he attains this. So here in the chart, I have summarized this discussion. Krishna's pure spiritual potency, Krishna is Satchidananda. He is the possessor of the Chit Shakti, Sandini, Samvit and Ladini Shakti. And this Shakti is residing in the heart of the spiritual master, or the Mahabhagavat. And this gets transmitted to a devotee. And he attains Shraddha and starts taking the holy name. And just by coming in contact, this spiritual potency or the Bhakti Lata Bij is bestowed in the heart of the sadhaka. And this Bija with the Shravan Kirtan Jal has the potency to bestow bhava. That is the power of a pure devotee, that he transmits the Bhakti Shakti into the Shraddhavan. So that is the point being made by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Any questions, any clarifications up till now? Anyone has any questions or clarifications? Yes, Swapnil Prabhuji.
Prabhu, is it necessary that for a preacher to awaken this Bhakti Shakti?
How will he awaken the Bhakti Shakti? The Bhakti Shakti is what is bestowed by the Lord. It is given by the Lord. It is the mercy of the Lord. And it is just, a Madhyamadhikari carries the Bhakti Shakti along with him. Krishna's mercy follows through the Madhyamadhikari. A Madhyamadhikari is a preacher. And a Madhyamadhikari qualities are what? He has prema for the Lord. He has friendship with the devotees. And he feels compassion to the innocent. And he avoids the envious. That is the quality of a Madhyamadhikari. And Madhyamadhikari feels mercy and compassion on the jivas, and that's why he preaches. And this mercy element, which is there in the heart of the Madhyamadhikari, is ultimately the mercy what Krishna also feels for the jivas. So that is just transmitted by the preaching to the innocent, and by which they also get faith by hearing the transcendental knowledge and take up to devotion. So it is just a matter of transmission. It is not that it is to be awakened, by some external means. It is a natural process of the Madhyamadhikari, the preacher. Any other question anyone has? Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. Wait 1 second. I'll unmute you. Yes, what is the question?
Prabhuji, you have mentioned very nicely about the power of a pure devotee. He can influence others to become devotees. But we do see that they give the seed of bhakti and they can accelerate the process of sadhaka's progress in bhakti. But if the sadhaka himself is not doing that jalpan like Shravana Kirtana, then that potency, what he has received as grace, he will not be able to utilize. So just by the grace of the pure devotee itself, can he able to perfect his devotional service? He don't have to do anything?
Absolutely no. Once he gets the Bhakti Lata Bij in the association of that sadhu, then it is his duty now to do bhajan kriya, become free from the anarthas, attain nishta. All that is his efforts. But there is association of sadhus in the form of Krishna Katha. There is facility in the form of, temples Srila Prabhupada opened for, to, inspire that devotion. So once the bij is given, suppose I come and give you a seed. This is a, parijat tree. There will be wonderful flowers which you can offer for Krishna. I give you the seed. Once I give you the seed, it is your responsibility. The seed is to be sown in the heart, in the field, and you have to regularly, pour water. And as you pour water and take care, put the fencing around, and slowly it will grow, and then only it will give you the flowers. So similarly, once the Bhakti Lata seed is sown in the heart by the mercy of a Mahabhagavat or even a Madhyamadhikari, then it is the devotee's responsibility to cultivate it by Shravanadi Jal. Shravanadi Jal, if he doesn't do Kirtan, then that, that Bhakti Lata will not sprout much. It will remain like that only. So it is not an automatic process. All endeavors will depend on that devotee. And then there are other facilities, the counselors, the preachers, the Shiksha Gurus, the Diksha Gurus, the setup of ISKCON where there is everyday Bhagavatam, the deities, the festivals, all that enhance. But ultimately, the sadhaka also has to put in a lot of efforts. And that is very, very clear. Is it clear to you, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay. So we will stop here because these verses are very, very important for us to understand. That's why I'm going verse by verse discussion and elaborating some philosophical points also. So tomorrow we will further, after explaining this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will again come that again this tendency, if you see faults like this, then it is a great offense. So like that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is systematically developing the subject. We will see that tomorrow. So any other questions, clarifications anyone has? Okay, so thank you very much, Srila Prabhupada.